Captain Minji Park stood on the bridge of the human ship Eternal Dawn and watched the massive alien station grow larger on the main screen. After 8 months of traveling through deep space, they had finally reached their destination. This was humanity's first meeting with the Galactic Council, and everything had to go perfectly. Distance to station is now 50,000 kilometers and closing, reported Navigator Do-hyun Kim from his position at the helm. His voice was steady, but Minji could see the tension in his shoulders. They were all nervous about this historic moment. Engineer Soo-young Lee looked up from her console. "All systems are running smooth, Captain. The ship is ready for docking procedures whenever you give the order." Communications Officer Ji-won Choi turned in her chair. "I'm receiving multiple signals from the station. There are definitely several different alien species aboard. The translation protocols are working, but some of the languages are very complex." Minji nodded and took a deep breath. Earth had spent decades preparing for this moment. Humanity had developed faster than light travel only 20 years ago, and since then they had been searching for other intelligent life. When they finally detected signals from an advanced galactic community, Earth's leaders knew this first contact would determine humanity's future among the stars. "Remember our mission," Minji said to her crew. "We're here to show that humans can be trusted partners in the galaxy. We want trade agreements, scientific cooperation, and peaceful relations with all species." The alien station was enormous, easily the size of a small moon. It was built from some kind of crystalline material that sparkled with its own inner light. Dozens of different ship designs were docked at various ports around the station's surface. Each one looked completely different from human technology. "Incoming transmission," Ji-won announced. "They're directing us to Docking Bay 7. As the Eternal Dawn approached the station, Minji felt a mix of excitement and worry. This meeting would change everything for humanity. If it went well, Earth would join a community of thousands of advanced civilizations. If it went badly, humans might be marked as enemies or simply ignored by the rest of the galaxy. The docking process took 30 minutes. Once their ship was secured, Minji gathered her crew in the main corridor. They all wore their best diplomatic uniforms, dark blue with gold trim that represented Earth's united government. "Stay alert," she told them. "We don't know what to expect, but remember that we represent all of humanity today." The airlock opened with a soft hiss and they stepped onto the alien station. The corridor beyond was vast, with walls that seemed to be made of living crystal. Strange symbols glowed along the surfaces, probably some kind of writing or decoration. 3 different aliens were waiting to greet them. The first was tall and thin, with skin that looked like polished stone and eyes that glowed with soft blue light. The second was shorter and covered in what appeared to be scales that shifted color as it moved. The third alien was the most unusual. It seemed to be made of flowing water held together in a roughly humanoid shape. "Welcome, humans of Earth," said the tall, crystalline being. Its voice came through translation devices that hung in the air around them. "I am Speaker Velthan of the Velthari people. These are my colleagues, Representative Kren of the Krennic, and Fluid Singer Morthak of the Morthak species." Minji stepped forward and bowed slightly. "I am Captain Minji Park of the human vessel Eternal Dawn. With me are Navigator Do-hyun Kim, Engineer Soo-young Lee, and Communications Officer Ji-won Choi. We are honored to meet with the Galactic Council." "Indeed," said Speaker Velthan. "Please, follow us to the main conference chamber. The Council is eager to discuss humanity's place in the galactic community." They walked through corridors that seemed to stretch for kilometers. Other aliens moved past them, some floating, others walking, on multiple legs and a few that seemed to phase in and out of visibility. The diversity was amazing and slightly overwhelming. The conference chamber was a massive sphere with no apparent floor or ceiling. Gravity seemed to work differently here, with various seating areas positioned at different angles around the curved walls. Dozens of alien species were present, representing civilizations from across the galaxy. Minji and her crew were directed to seats near the center of the chamber. As they settled in, she noticed that many of the alien representatives were watching them with what seemed like intense interest. Some looked curious, others appeared cautious, and a few seemed openly hostile. Speaker Velthan moved to the center of the chamber and raised his arms. The conversations around the room gradually stopped, as all attention focused on him. "Honored representatives of the Galactic Council," he began. "We gathered today to discuss the species known as humans from the planet Earth. After extensive observation and analysis, we have reached a crucial decision regarding their future." Minji felt her heart rate increase. This didn't sound like the diplomatic greeting they had expected. "The human species shows remarkable potential," Velthan continued. "They have developed advanced technology quickly. They adapt to new situations with impressive speed, and they show strong cooperation when faced with challenges. However, these same traits make them extremely dangerous." Representative Kren, the scaled alien, spoke next. "Our analysis shows that humans are naturally aggressive. They have fought wars among themselves for thousands of years. They consume resources at an unsustainable rate. Most concerning, they show a willingness to sacrifice themselves for abstract concepts like honor and freedom." The water-like alien, Morthak, flowed forward. "This self-sacrifice instinct is the most dangerous trait. Species that will die for their beliefs cannot be controlled or predicted. They become wild cards that disrupt the careful balance we have maintained in the galaxy for millions of years." Minji stood up, her mind racing. "I don't understand. We came here seeking peaceful cooperation. Humanity wants to learn from more advanced civilizations and contribute to the galactic community." "That may be what you believe," said Velthan, "but our projections show that within 500 years humans would either dominate this galaxy or destroy themselves trying. We cannot allow either outcome." Doyun stepped forward. "What exactly are you proposing?" "Simple," replied Kren. "Genetic modification. We will alter human DNA to remove the aggressive instincts and the capacity for strategic thinking that makes your species so unpredictable. You will become peaceful, compliant, and safe." Suyung gasped. "You want to lobotomize our entire species?" "We prefer to call it evolution guidance," said Morthak. "Many species have undergone similar modifications to join the galactic community. You will be happier, more peaceful, and able to live in harmony with others." Minji felt anger rising in her chest. "And if we refuse? Then you will be quarantined on Earth until your species either evolves naturally or destroys itself," Velthan said coldly. "Those are your only options." "No," Minji said firmly. "Those are not our only options." "Then we—" Chamber fell silent. Every alien representative was staring at the small group of humans. "We came here in good faith seeking friendship and cooperation," Minji continued. "Instead, you offer us slavery or imprisonment. That is not acceptable." Alarms suddenly began, blaring throughout the station. Jiwan quickly checked her portable scanner. "Captain, I'm detecting multiple weapon systems targeting our ship." "The decision has been made," announced Velthan. "You have refused our generous offer. The human species will be contained." Energy beams lanced out from hidden weapons around the chamber. Doyun threw himself in front of Minji, taking a direct hit that sent him crashing to the floor. Suyung scrambled toward the chamber's exit but was cut down by another blast. "Jiwan, send the warning to Earth," Minji shouted as she dove for cover behind an overturned seat. Jiwan activated her emergency transmitter just as alien soldiers poured into the chamber. "Message away, Captain," she gasped, then fell as multiple energy beams struck her. Minji found herself alone, surrounded by dozens of armed aliens. Her entire crew was dead or dying, and Earth had no idea what was coming. "You could have accepted our offer peacefully," said Velthan as he approached her. "Now your species will be eliminated entirely." The last thing Minji saw before the energy weapons fired was Jiwan's hand still clutching the transmitter, a small red light blinking to show that Earth's warning had been sent. Then darkness took her, and she knew no more. Minji floated in the endless darkness of space, her body tumbling slowly among the scattered debris of her ship. The aliens had thrown her into the void along with the wreckage, believing she was dead. They were almost right. Her suit's life support systems had failed hours ago, but somehow her body had not died. Instead, it had entered a strange state between life and death. Her heart beat once every few minutes. Her breathing had stopped completely. Her body temperature had dropped to match the cold vacuum around her. In this liminal state, Minji's mind remained active but detached from her physical form. She felt like she was floating not just in space, but in an ocean of consciousness that stretched beyond the physical universe. That was when she first heard the voice. "You are not alone, daughter of Earth." The voice was gentle but strong, speaking directly into her mind. Minji tried to respond but found she could not form words. "My name is Sejin Nam," the voice continued. "I died in a place called Korea, many years before you were born. I was a medic during a terrible war. When enemy soldiers surrounded my unit, I stayed behind to treat the wounded while my comrades escaped. I died so that 23 men could live to see their families again." Another voice joined the first, this one belonging to a woman. "I am Hyunwoo Park. I was a scientist studying the frozen lands at the bottom of the world. When a storm trapped my research team, I went out into the blizzard to get help. I froze to death in the snow, but the rescue team found my notes and saved my colleagues." More voices began to speak, each one telling their story. Aryam Young, a pilot who crashed her plane into an empty field instead of a crowded city. Min Ho Yoon, a firefighter who died pulling children from a burning school. Sora Kim, a doctor who stayed in a plague-infected village to care for the sick. "We are the ones who gave everything," said Sejin's voice. "Every human who died protecting others, who sacrificed themselves so that others might live. We are connected to you now, Minji Park, because you too faced death while trying to save your species." Minji finally found her voice. "How is this possible? How can I hear you?" "Death changes us," explained Hyunwoo. "When we die in service to others, something of our essence remains connected to the living world. Usually, this connection is too weak to perceive. But here, in the void between stars, where reality itself is thin, you have become a bridge between the world of the living and the realm of sacrifice." "The aliens made a mistake when they threw you into space," added Ariam. "They thought the vacuum would kill you quickly. Instead, it created the perfect conditions for this connection to form." As the hours passed, more voices joined the growing chorus in Minji's mind. She heard from heroes throughout human history, people who had died protecting others in ways both great and small. A mother who died shielding her child from a falling building. A teacher who perished leading students to safety during an earthquake. A stranger who drowned saving someone who had fallen into a river. Each voice brought with it not just memories, but knowledge and skills. From Jin Hyuk Song, an engineer who died in a factory explosion while shutting down dangerous machinery, Minji learned how to repair and improve complex systems. From Kyung Ho An, a soldier who died holding a position against overwhelming odds, she gained tactical knowledge and combat skills. "Why are you helping me?" Minji asked the growing collection of voices. "Because our deaths mean nothing if humanity is destroyed," replied a new voice. This one belonged to Won-ho Kim, a computer expert who had died exposing corruption in the government. "We sacrificed ourselves to protect people, to make the world better. If our species is wiped out, then all of our sacrifices become meaningless." Also, added Sumin Kang, a diplomat who had been killed while negotiating peace between warring nations, "You are still alive, which means you can still act. We exist now only in memory and spirit, but you have a body that can move and change things in the physical world." Minji became aware that her body was indeed changing. The vacuum of space should have killed her within minutes, but instead it was transforming her. Her skin had become tougher, able to resist the radiation and extreme cold. Her lungs had adapted to store oxygen more efficiently. Her brain was processing information faster than ever before. "The connection between us is changing you," explained Yuna. Oh, a mother who had died protecting her children from a natural disaster. "You are becoming something new, something that can survive in environments that would kill an ordinary human." Days passed, though time had little meaning in the emptiness of space. Minji continued to drift among the debris, but she was no longer helpless. The voices guided her to pieces of alien technology scattered from the destroyed ships. With knowledge, inherited from the fallen engineers and scientists, she began to understand how the alien devices worked. Their technology is not as advanced as they pretend, observed Daehan Cho, a physicist who had died in a laboratory accident while working on clean energy. They rely on brute force solutions instead of elegant engineering. We can do better. Minji began collecting useful pieces of wreckage. Her changed body allowed her to work in the vacuum without a suit, moving from piece to piece like a ghost in the darkness. The voices guided her hands as she began assembling the salvaged technology into something new. "What am I building?" she asked. "A ship," replied Taehyun Park, a mechanic who had died repairing a dam that would have flooded a town. "But not just any ship. We are going to combine human creativity with alien technology to make something better than either could achieve. Alone." As Minji worked, she noticed that her voice had changed. When she spoke aloud, testing systems and talking to herself, her words carried harmonics that had not been there before. It was as if multiple voices were speaking at once, blending together into something both beautiful and unsettling. "That is us," explained Mink-Young Lee, a nurse who had died caring for patients during an epidemic. "Our voices are joining with yours. When you speak now, you speak for all of us who gave our lives for others." The makeshift ship took shape slowly. It was unlike anything humans or aliens had built before, incorporating design principles that neither species had discovered on their own. The hull could shift between solid and translucent states. The engines could draw power from cosmic radiation itself. The weapon systems were based on focused gravity rather than energy beams. "This is beautiful," Minji whispered as she made the final connections. "This is just the beginning," said all the voices together. "The aliens who killed your crew think that humans are dangerous because we are aggressive and unpredictable. They have no idea what we are truly capable of when we are united by a common purpose." Minji climbed into the pilot seat of her strange new vessel. The controls responded to her thoughts as much as her touch, as if the ship itself was alive and aware. "Where do we go now?" she asked. "To hunt," replied Kyung-ho's voice, carrying the tactical knowledge of 100 battles. "The aliens have ships and bases throughout this region of space. We find them, we question them, and we make them pay for what they did to your crew. But remember," added Suman's diplomatic voice, "our ultimate goal is not revenge. It is to protect Earth and ensure that humanity survives to fulfill its potential among the stars." Minji activated the ship's engines, and they responded with a sound like singing voices harmonizing in perfect unity. As her vessel accelerated away from the debris field, she felt the collective determination of every human hero who had ever lived flowing through her. She was no longer just Minji Park, captain of a destroyed ship. She had become something new, something that carried the hopes and dreams of everyone who had ever died, trying to make the world better. The aliens had thought they were eliminating a threat to their carefully ordered galaxy. Instead, they had created something far more dangerous than they could imagine. A human who spoke with the voice of every fallen hero, armed with technology they could not understand, and driven by the collective will of an entire species' greatest sacrifices. The hunt was about to begin. Minji's strange new ship drifted silently through the asteroid field, invisible to the alien sensors scanning the area below. 3 weeks had passed since her transformation, and she had spent the time learning to use her new abilities and the ship's unique systems. The voices of the fallen guided her every move. Kyung-ho's tactical knowledge helped her understand enemy patrol patterns. Won-ho's technical expertise taught her how to hack alien communication networks. Jin-hyuk's engineering skills showed her how to modify her ship's systems for maximum efficiency. "There," whispered Suman's voice in her mind. "The large asteroid with the mining facility. That is where we begin." Below them, the Velthari mining operation sprawled across the surface of a massive space rock. Dozens of crystalline aliens worked in vacuum suits, extracting rare minerals with advanced machinery. Guard towers dotted the perimeter, armed with the same energy weapons that had killed her crew. "Remember," said Yuna's gentle voice, "we are not here just for revenge. We need information about their plans for Earth. Minji guided her ship closer, using the asteroid's natural caves to hide her approach. Her vessel could phase through solid rock when needed, another gift from the alien, technology she had salvaged and improved upon. She landed in a cavern deep beneath the mining facility and stepped out into the vacuum. Her transformed body moved easily in the airless environment, no longer needing a suit to survive. The voices had changed her into something that could exist anywhere in space. The main computer core will be in the central tower, advised Wanho. But first we need to disable their communications so they cannot call for help. Minji moved through the asteroid's tunnels like a ghost, her footsteps making no sound. When she reached the facility's lower levels, she began her work. Her hands moved with practiced skill, guided by the knowledge of a dozen fallen experts as she sabotaged their systems one by one. The first alien she encountered was a Velthari, technician working alone in a maintenance area. The crystalline being looked up in shock as Minji materialized from the shadows like a nightmare. Impossible, the alien gasped in its melodic language, which Minji now understood perfectly thanks to Jiwon's linguistic knowledge. All humans are dead. Not all, Minji replied, her voice carrying the harmonized tones of every fallen hero. The sound was both beautiful and terrifying, like a choir of ghosts singing in perfect unity. The Velthari stumbled backward, its glowing eyes wide with fear. What are you? What have you become? I am what you created when you murdered my crew, Minji said, stepping closer. I am the voice of every human who died protecting others, and I want answers. The alien tried to reach for an alarm, but Minji moved faster than should have been possible. Her hand closed around the creature's crystalline arm, and she felt the alien's thoughts flow into her mind. This was another new ability gained from her connection to the fallen. Images flashed through her consciousness. The Galactic Council's secret meetings, their fear of humanity's potential, the vote to eliminate Earth before humans could spread beyond their home system, and something else, something that made her blood run cold. A planet-killer weapon, she whispered, releasing the terrified alien. You are building a weapon to destroy entire worlds. The Velthari collapsed, its crystal body dim with terror. Please, I am just a worker. I did not vote for this plan. But, you know about it, Minji said, her voice now carrying the authority of Kyungho's command presence. Tell me everything. The alien's resistance crumbled under the weight of her transformed voice. The weapon is almost complete. It will be ready in 6 months. The Council plans to use it on Earth during your species' mourning period for the lost diplomatic mission. How many others know of this plan? All the major species are involved. The Velthari provide the energy crystals. The Krennics supply the targeting systems. The Morthak contribute the quantum processors. Only a few minor species have refused to participate. Minji absorbed this information, sharing it with the voices in her mind. Their collective anger was like a storm in her consciousness. Where is the weapon being built? She demanded. The Nexus station in the Void sector. It is heavily guarded by ships from all 3 major species. Minji stepped back, considering her options. The voices offered advice and tactical suggestions, but the decision was hers to make. You will send a message to your superiors, she told the trembling alien. Tell them that humanity is not as helpless as they believed. Tell them that we know about their weapon, and tell them that we are coming. They will not believe me, the Velthari protested. They think all humans are dead, Minji smiled, and the expression was both sad and terrifying. Then show them this. She reached out and touched the alien's forehead. Through her transformed abilities, she projected images directly into its mind. The alien saw her floating in space, building her ship from salvaged technology. It witnessed her moving through solid rock and surviving in the vacuum. Most importantly, it heard the voices of the fallen humans, their words echoing with the power of ultimate sacrifice. The Velthari screamed and fell unconscious. Minji left the alien alive and began moving through the facility. Her presence seemed to affect all their technology, causing systems to resonate with harmonics that matched her transformed voice. Lights flickered in patterns that resembled human Morse code. Computer displays showed images of Earth and its people. In the command center, she found what she was looking for. The facility's main computer contained detailed records of the conspiracy against humanity, fleet movements, weapon specifications, and most importantly, the locations of other installations involved in the project. "Download everything," urged Wanho's voice. "We need proof to show any alien species that might be willing to help us." As Minji interfaced with the computer system, alarms began blaring throughout the facility. The unconscious technician had been found, and the aliens were realizing that something impossible was happening. Armed Velthari guards poured into the command center, their weapons charging with deadly energy. But when they saw Minji standing calmly among their most sensitive equipment, they hesitated. "You cannot be here," said their leader, a tall alien with particularly bright crystal formations. "This is impossible. You are dead." "Death is not the end," Minji replied, her voice now joined by the battle cries of every human warrior who had ever fallen in combat. "It is a transformation." The guards opened fire, but their energy beams passed through her like she was made of smoke. This was another ability she had discovered, the power to shift between solid and incorporeal states at will. Minji walked through their weapons fire and placed her hands on their computer systems. The alien technology began to resonate with her voice, and suddenly the entire facility was filled with the sound of human voices singing together in harmony. The Velthari guards dropped their weapons and fell to their knees, overwhelmed by the emotional power of the sound. They heard the voices of humans who had died saving others, and something deep in their crystalline hearts recognized the beauty of such sacrifice. "Your leaders lied to you," Minji said, her words carrying the diplomatic wisdom of Sumin. "They told you that humans were violent and dangerous, but listen to these voices. These are the sounds of people who gave their lives to protect others. This is what humanity truly represents." One of the guards looked up at her with glowing eyes full of confusion. "But the council said you would conquer the galaxy if allowed to spread." "Perhaps we would," Minji admitted, "but not through force. We would conquer through example, by showing other species what it means to put the welfare of others before your own survival." She had what she came for. The facility's databanks were copied to her ship's memory cores, and the aliens here would spread word of her existence throughout their communication networks. Fear would travel ahead of her, preparing the way for what was to come. As she prepared to leave, the guard captain spoke again. "What will you do now?" Minji turned back to look at them, and for a moment her expression was almost kind. "I am going to save my species, and if any of yours stand in my way, they will learn why humanity's greatest strength is not our weapons or our technology." "What is it then?" asked the captain. "Our willingness to die for each other," Minji replied. "And now, thanks to your leader's mistake, I carry the voices of everyone who ever made that choice." She walked through the facility's walls like they were not there, leaving the stunned aliens behind. Within minutes, her ship had departed the asteroid, already plotting a course to the next target on her list. The hunt had begun in earnest, and the galaxy would soon learn that humanity's greatest heroes were not as dead as they had believed. 2 months had passed since Minji began her campaign against the alien conspiracy. Word of her attacks had spread throughout the galaxy like wildfire. The crystalline Velthari whispered of a ghost that walked through walls and spoke with the voices of the dead. The scaled Krennic told stories of their destroyed outposts and missing crews. The flowing Morthak reported strange malfunctions in their technology whenever she appeared. Minji stood on the bridge of her transformed ship, watching a Krennic supply convoy move through the space lanes below. Her vessel had grown and changed over the weeks, absorbing alien technology and materials with each successful raid. It now looked like nothing else in the galaxy, a fusion of human creativity and alien engineering that defied conventional physics. "That convoy is carrying quantum processors for the planet killer weapon," observed Wanho's voice in her mind. "If we destroy it, we delay their timeline by at least a month. But more importantly," added Sumin's diplomatic wisdom, "we can capture some of their crew for questioning. We need to know exactly where the weapon is being built. Minji had learned much in her weeks of hunting. The planet killer was hidden in a secret facility called Nexus Station, somewhere in the void sector where long-range sensors could not penetrate. 3 major alien species were working together on the project, while dozens of smaller civilizations provided materials and support. "The galaxy fears us now," said Kyung-ho's tactical voice. "Good. Fear makes enemies make mistakes." Minji's ship descended toward the convoy like a predator stalking prey. Her presence alone was enough to disrupt the alien ship's electronics. Control panels flickered with images of Earth and its people. Communication systems broadcast the voices of fallen human heroes singing songs of sacrifice and courage. The lead Krennic vessel tried to flee, but Minji's ship moved faster than should have been possible. She had learned to bend space around her vessel, using principles that combined human intuition with alien physics in ways neither species had imagined alone. "Attention, Krennic ships," she broadcast on all frequencies. Her voice now carried such power that it caused physical vibrations in the hull plating of nearby vessels. "You are carrying materials for a weapon designed to destroy my home world. Surrender now, and I will allow you to live." The convoy commander's response came back immediately. "Impossible. All humans are dead. You are some kind of trick, a hologram or artificial intelligence." "I am no trick," Minji replied. And this time her voice was joined by thousands of others. The Krennic crews heard the words of every human soldier who had ever died protecting their home. Every doctor who had perished treating plague victims. Every parent who had sacrificed themselves for their children. The sound was overwhelming. Several alien crew members aboard the convoy ships collapsed, unable to process the emotional weight of so many heroic sacrifices compressed into a single voice. "What are you?" gasped the convoy commander. "I am what your leaders created when they decided humanity was too dangerous to live," Minji answered. "I am the voice of everyone who ever gave their life so others could survive. And I am here to make sure their sacrifices were not in vain." The battle that followed was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Minji's ship phased through the convoy's defensive fire, sometimes becoming solid to deliver devastating attacks, other times turning incorporeal to avoid incoming weapons. Her vessel seemed to anticipate the aliens' moves, guided by the tactical knowledge of every human military genius who had ever lived. But Minji was not trying to destroy the convoy. She needed prisoners and information. Using abilities she was still learning to control, she reached out with her mind and touched the consciousness of the alien crews. Fear, confusion, and something else flowed back to her. "Wait," she said, her voice suddenly gentle. "Some of you do not want to be here." Through her telepathic connection, Minji sensed that many of the convoy crew members were not willing participants in the conspiracy. They had been forced to join by threats against their families and homeworlds. "You," she said, focusing on a young Krennic engineer aboard the second ship. "Your name is Sektar. You joined this mission because the Council threatened to destroy your colony world if you refused." The alien's shocked response confirmed her reading. "How do you know this?" "Because I can hear your thoughts now," Minji explained, "and I can sense the fear and regret in your heart. You know that what the Council plans is wrong." More voices joined the mental conversation as Minji connected with other unwilling crew members throughout the convoy. A Velthari navigator who had been blackmailed into service. A Morthak technician whose children were being held hostage. Dozens of aliens who had been forced to participate in the conspiracy against their will. "Listen to me," Minji said, her voice now carrying the persuasive power of every human diplomat and leader who had ever lived. "You do not have to be part of this. I offer you a choice that your leaders never gave you." "What choice?" asked Sektar. "Join." "Me," Minji replied. "Help me stop this weapon before it can be used. Help me save not just my species, but all the innocent lives that will be lost if this conspiracy succeeds." The convoy commander, a hardened Krennic military officer, tried to regain control of the situation. "Do not listen to this creature. It is trying to manipulate you with alien psychology." But Minji's response was to project her memories directly into the minds of everyone present. They saw her crew's murder on the space station. They witnessed her transformation in the void. Most powerfully, they experienced the voices of the fallen humans, feeling the pure emotion of ultimate sacrifice for others. The effect was immediate. One by one, the alien crew members began switching off their weapons and abandoning their posts. The convoy commander found himself alone, his own crew refusing to follow his orders. "This is mutiny," he raged. "This is conscience," replied Sektar, who had become the unofficial leader of the rebels, something the council tried to breed out of us long ago. Within hours, Minji had gained not just information but allies. The rebel aliens told her everything they knew about the weapon project. Nexus Station was indeed in the void sector, hidden inside an artificial nebula that blocked most sensors. The station was defended by the combined fleets of all three major species, with enough firepower to destroy an entire star system. More importantly, they revealed the weapon's timeline. The planet killer would be ready in just 6 weeks, perfectly timed to fire during Earth's memorial service for the lost diplomatic mission. But there is something else, Sektar told her during a private conversation aboard her ship. The weapon has a weakness. It requires all three species to activate it together. If any one of them refuses or is unable to participate, the entire system fails. Political insurance, observed Suman's voice in Minji's mind. None of them trust each other enough to let one species control the weapon alone. This gave Minji an idea. She did not need to destroy the weapon directly. She needed to break the alliance between the three species. "There are rumors," continued Sektar, "that not all members of each species support this plan. Many believe the Council has gone too far, that genocide is never acceptable regardless of the threat." Over the following weeks, Minji began a new kind of campaign. Instead of simply attacking alien installations, she started reaching out to the moderate factions within each species. Her ability to speak directly to alien minds, combined with the emotional power of the fallen human voices, proved devastatingly effective. She appeared before a gathering of Velthari philosophers, showing them the beauty of human sacrifice and the tragedy of what their leaders planned. She spoke to Krennic military officers who had grown uncomfortable with orders to target civilians. She reached out to Morthak scientists who questioned the ethics of their research. Each contact created ripples throughout alien society. The voices of fallen humans spoke not of conquest or revenge, but of the value of life and the importance of protecting the innocent. They told stories of humans who had died saving aliens, even during times of war between their species. "Your people are not what we were told," admitted a Velthari council member during a secret meeting. "The reports described you as violent conquerors, but these voices speak only of protection and sacrifice." "Our leaders lied to us," Minji replied, her words carrying the authority of every human who had ever died fighting against injustice. "They chose fear over understanding, violence over dialogue. But it is not too late to choose a different path." The cracks in the alien alliance grew wider with each passing day. Protests erupted on Velthari crystal cities. Krennic military units began refusing orders. Morthak research facilities shut down in acts of civil disobedience. But time was running out. Despite the growing resistance, the weapon project continued under heavy guard. The Council's hardliners were determined to complete their plan before their own people could stop them. "We have 6 days before they can fire the weapon," reported Yuna's caring voice. "If we are going to save Earth, we must act now." Minji stood alone on her ship's bridge, surrounded by the voices of 10 billion fallen heroes. The weight of their sacrifice pressed down on her but also lifted her up. She had become more than human, but she had never forgotten what it meant to be human. Minji's ship emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the void sector, just as Earth's memorial service was beginning 8,000 light-years away. Through her connection to the voices of the fallen, she could sense her homeworld's grief. Billions of humans mourned the lost crew of the Eternal Dawn, not knowing that their deaths had been murder, not accident. "There," said Wanho's voice as alien technology merged with human intuition to pierce the artificial nebula ahead. Nexus Station. The hidden facility was massive, easily the size of a small moon. Its surface bristled with the deadliest weapons 3 species could design. The planet killer itself was visible as an enormous crystalline array at the station's center, already beginning to glow with the power that would soon destroy Earth. Surrounding the station was the largest fleet Minji had ever seen. Thousands of ships from the Velthari, Krennic, and Morthak species formed defensive perimeters that stretched for millions of kilometers. The combined firepower could have sterilized entire star systems. "They are preparing to fire," observed Dihan's scientific voice as sensor readings flowed through Minji's transformed consciousness. The weapon will be ready in less than 2 hours, but Minji was not alone. Over the past weeks, her message had spread throughout the galaxy. Now, as she approached the station, other ships began appearing in the void around her. Rebel vessels, from all 3 major species, crewed by aliens who had chosen conscience over orders. Sektar's voice came through the communication system. "We are with you, voice of the fallen. Our combined fleet numbers only in the hundreds, but we will fight beside you. And we are not the only ones coming," added another voice. This belonged to Velthan, a crystal being who had broken away from the hardliners in his government. "Word of what you represent has reached even the smallest species in the galaxy. They too are sending ships." As if summoned by his words, hyperspace rifts began opening throughout the sector. Ships emerged from dozens of minor species that had been ignored or bullied by the 3 major powers. They were small vessels with limited weapons, but their crews carried something more powerful than energy cannons: hope. "Amazing," whispered Yuna's gentle voice in Minji's mind. "Look what the sacrifice of a few has inspired." But the enemy fleet was still vastly superior in numbers and firepower. The defending aliens had been expecting some kind of rescue attempt and were prepared for battle. Warning signals flashed across the station's surface as the planet killer weapon entered its final charging sequence. "Attention approaching vessels," came a broadcast from the station. "You are interfering with a lawful action of the Galactic Council. Withdraw immediately or be destroyed." Minji opened a channel that reached every ship in the sector, both friend and enemy. When she spoke, her voice carried the harmonized tones of every human hero who had ever lived. "I am Minji Park, sole survivor of the Eternal Dawn. I speak with the voice of every human who has ever died protecting others. You have 2 minutes to shut down that weapon and surrender the station, or learn what happens when you threaten our children." Laughter echoed back from the enemy fleet commanders. "One damaged ship against our entire armada? You have gone insane, human." "Not one ship," Minji replied calmly. "One species." At that moment, new hyperspace signatures appeared throughout the sector. But these were not alien vessels. They were human ships, hundreds of them, emerging from jump points that should have been impossible to calculate. The lead vessel opened communications, and a familiar voice filled the channel. "This is Admiral Dongyan Li of the Earth Defense Fleet. We received the warning transmission from Communications Officer Jiwan Choi. Humanity does not abandon its own." Minji felt tears of joy streaming down her face as she recognized voices from Earth's fleet. Captain Jae-hyuk Park, commanding the destroyer Soul's Pride. Commander Yoonji Kim leading a squadron of fighters. They had come, despite impossible odds, to save their lost daughter. But more than that, the human ships were broadcasting on all frequencies. Every vessel carried recordings of the voices Minji had been hearing, the words of fallen heroes speaking directly to the hearts of anyone who would listen. The effect on the alien crews was immediate and profound. Throughout the enemy fleet, beings who had been told that humans were monsters heard instead the voices of ultimate sacrifice. They heard Seijin Nam speaking of dying to save his patients. They heard Hyunwoo Park describing her choice to freeze to death so her colleagues could live. "Impossible," gasped one Velthari captain. "These are not the voices of conquerors. These are the voices of protectors." Ship by ship, alien vessels began powering down their weapons. Crews who had been forced into service by threats and lies heard the truth for the first time. The voices of fallen humans spoke not of conquest but of the sacred duty to protect innocent life. "All ships, maintain formation. ordered the Krennic fleet commander desperately. Do not listen to their psychological warfare. But it was too late. The moral authority of the human voices was breaking apart the alien alliance from within. Belthari. Ships began withdrawing from the battle line. Morthak vessels refused orders to fire. Even some Krennic crews abandoned their posts rather than participate in genocide. On Nexus Station itself, the situation was becoming chaotic. Scientists and technicians who had been working on the planet killer were laying down their tools and walking away from their stations. The weapon's charging sequence stuttered and slowed as essential personnel refused to complete their tasks. "This is High Commander Zeskoth of the Krennic Imperial Fleet," came an angry transmission. "All deserters will be executed for treason. The weapon will fire as scheduled." "No," replied Minji, her voice now joined by the battle cries of every human warrior who had ever stood against tyranny. "It will not." Her ship accelerated toward the station, but not alone. The combined human and rebel alien fleet followed her, a rainbow of different species united by a common cause. They flew through the wavering enemy formations like an arrow of light piercing the darkness. The hardline alien commanders tried to rally their remaining loyal forces, but the damage was done. Too many ships had defected, or simply refused to fight. The defensive perimeter collapsed as vessel after vessel joined the growing rebellion. Minji's ship reached the station first, her enhanced vessel phasing through the outer hull like a ghost. Inside, she found corridors filled with alien workers, fleeing their posts. The voices of the fallen guided her through the maze of passages toward the weapons control center. She found the chamber where the three species representatives were desperately trying to complete the firing sequence manually. High Commander Zeskoth, Speaker Velthan's replacement Christar, and Fluid Commander Morkesh worked frantically at their control stations. "Stop," Minji commanded as she materialized in the center of the room. Her voice carried such power that the station's very structure resonated in harmony. "Never," snarled Zeskoth, his scaled hands flying over the weapon controls. "Your species ends today." But when Minji spoke again, it was not with anger or hatred. Instead, her voice carried the infinite compassion of every human who had ever died caring for others. "Look at what you have become," she said sadly. "You were once explorers, scientists, artists. You built a civilization that spanned the galaxy, and now you would destroy an entire world out of fear." The alien leaders paused despite themselves, struck by the profound sadness in her words. "We have seen what your species becomes." Chrysatar protested, but his crystal form was dimming with uncertainty. "Have you?" Minji asked. She projected her memories into their minds, showing them not human wars but human sacrifice. They saw doctors dying to save alien patients during the first plague exchanges. They witnessed human engineers giving their lives to repair alien ships in distress. They experienced the voices of 10 billion heroes who had chosen to protect others rather than themselves. Morkesh, the flowing water being, was the first to step away from his controls. "This is not justice," he said quietly. "This is genocide born of fear." Christar followed, his crystal body now dark with shame. "What have we done? What have we become?" Only Zeskoth remained at his station, his finger hovering over the final activation switch. "I will not let your species poison the galaxy with your dangerous ideals of self-sacrifice." "Then you do not understand," Minji replied gently. "Sacrifice is not dangerous, it is sacred. It is what transforms mere existence into something worth preserving." She reached out with her transformed abilities and touched Zeskoth's mind, not with force but with the gentle wisdom of every human teacher who had ever died protecting their students. The alien commander saw for the first time what humanity truly represented. Not conquest through strength, but victory through love. Zeskoth's hand fell away from the controls. The weapon's charging sequence finally stopped, its deadly energies dissipating harmlessly into space. "It is finished," Minji announced, her words carrying across the galaxy through quantum communication networks. On Earth, in alien worlds throughout, the spiral arm, and in the hearts of every being who heard her voice, the message was clear. Humanity had not conquered through violence. but had triumphed through the power of sacrifice and love.